Case 1. The inmate killed with a pencil, Las Vegas, 2011. On July 29, 2011, inside the Clark County Detention Center in Las Vegas, two inmates were locked in the same cell. One was Francesco Sanfilippo. The other was Carl Guilford, 18 years old. Sometime during the night, a fight broke out inside that tiny space where there is nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, and no one hears you until the next check. When officers opened the cell later, Sanfilippo was found badly injured and unresponsive. Reports said the weapon was a pencil, not a shank, not a knife, a pencil. The case exploded into headlines because it sounded impossible, and because it was reportedly the first killing inside that jail in decades. Guilford was later charged with murder, and the incident raised questions about supervision, housing decisions, and how violent detainees are managed. Case 2. The Bad Trip. Pencil brain injury. Texas medical case report. A medical case report described a 21-year-old man who consumed psilocybin mushrooms and entered a severe panic state. What happened next was not a movie scene. It became a hospital emergency documented because the injury was rare, catastrophic, and fatal. Doctors described a penetrating pencil injury that became an intracranial trauma case, the kind of damage that turns minutes into a countdown. Emergency services were called. Surgeons attempted intervention, but the damage involved vital structures, and the patient ultimately did not survive. This case is included for one reason. It proves a pencil can become a lethal, penetrating object, not in theory, but in published medical documentation. Case 3, beaten over stolen pencils, India 2015. In 2015, reporting out of India described a case where the trigger was unbelievably small, a child accused of stealing pencils. The accusation turned into violence inside a place that should be safe, a school. This wasn't an accident or malfunction. This was a human decision that escalated into a fatal outcome. The child was reportedly assaulted over the accusation, later collapsed and died. Police action followed, and public anger surged because the reason was nothing, stationary, while the consequence was permanent. This case fits the list because the pencil wasn't just present. It was the spark that started the chain that ended a life. Case 4. The pencil. Peel that caused suffocation. Hamirpur, Uttar Pradesh. In Hamirpur, Uttar Pradesh, a 6-year-old girl was studying at home when a pencil peel got stuck in her throat. The reporting described it as sudden and terrifying. One moment she's doing something normal, the next she's struggling to breathe. Her family rushed her for medical help, but she was declared dead. This case is brutal because it doesn't look dangerous until it is. There's no bloodbath, no weapon, no attacker, just airway blockage and seconds disappearing. It's one of the most haunting kinds of pencil deaths because the cause is so small and the result is total. Case 5. Pencil pierced the throat at school, Khammam, Telangana. In Khammam, Telangana, reports described a school incident where a young student running with a pencil suffered a puncture injury to the throat. It happened fast, a fall, a sharp angle, and a vulnerable part of the body. Adults rushed in, transport began, but the injury was too severe. Cases like this are why don't run with sharp objects exists, because the throat is packed with critical structures. When a puncture happens there, it's not about pain, it's about air, blood loss, and shock. This is the kind of death that feels unreal until you read the report and realize it happened in a normal school day. Case 6. Suicide by pencil to the chest. Forensic case report. A forensic case report documented an elderly man who fatally injured himself using a pencil driven into the chest area. It's shocking because a pencil is rarely seen as a weapon, yet the report exists because it caused a lethal internal injury, the kind that leads to massive bleeding and rapid collapse. Doctors attempted treatment, but the injury was fatal. This case is included for a simple reason. It proves the body's weak points don't care what the object looks like. If something can penetrate deep enough in the wrong place, it can kill, and the medical system documents it because it's rare but real. Case 7. Killed over a pencil, South Africa. In South Africa, reporting described a fatal incident where a conflict involving a pencil escalated into violence. The pencil itself wasn't just stationary anymore. It became the trigger for a confrontation that ended in death. Stories like this spread because the cause sounds petty, but the ending is irreversible. What makes this case disturbing is the scale of the overreaction. A pencil is worth almost nothing, yet in these situations it becomes a symbol. Disrespect, accusation, humiliation, and then someone decides to turn it into blood. That's the real horror, how easily normal life can flip into a fatal moment. Case 8, the 1933 pencil stub in the lung death. Historical report. In 1933, news reporting described a child death involving a pencil stub lodged in the lung. In the early 20th century, removing airway foreign objects was far harder than it is today, and complications like infection, bleeding, or respiratory collapse could become fatal. The report is remembered because the object sounds ridiculous, a pencil stub, but the result was deadly. The reason this belongs in the worst list is the helplessness of it. Small object, small body, limited medical tools for the time. It's the kind of death that feels like bad luck, but it still happened, it was reported, and it remains one of the earliest examples of a pencil-related fatality entering the record. For more real-world cases like this, documented reports, incidents people don't forget, and the kind of stories that prove normal objects can turn deadly, like the video and subscribe so you don't miss the next one.